Try to drown your sorrows. You shouldn't have taught them how to swim. Now you are right back where you began. Winter skies approaching, all alone in the wasteland. Alone is the only way they let you in. So drink all my wine, cut all my trees, make love on my beach.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. What you can see there on the screen is going to be our guest singing this song, with his permission, of course. And we're going to talk to Dan, see why he likes to sing. But before we get there, let's bring Dan on. Hello, Dan.
Hey, Shane, how you doing?
Good, man. Nice to have you on.
Thank you. And Shane, I want to start by saying that song that I'm playing is not actually one of my originals, so I just want to give proper credit to John Craigie, who wrote that. So,
how long have you been singing John's song for?
Just the past year or two. I really like that. It's a cool song. It's called California. I Am California, or something like that. Yeah, it's really, really great. He's a great songwriter. But yeah, so I'll give him the credit. I wish I wrote that one.
Well, you're doing a great job on that.
Well, thank you.
So yeah, certainly you've come a long way from when you were in the J-Dubs.
Oh yeah,
to where you are now.
Yep, definitely.
So let's hear a little bit about your history. So how did you get involved in the J-Dubs?
Well, I was like many of us ex-JWs out there, I was born in. My parents came into the organization, as they used to like to say, right before the end in 1974, they got baptized. So, that's when things were coming to an end in 1975. But I also always like to say that I'm one of the few people that was baptized twice, because my mother was pregnant with me when she got baptized, and then I was baptized again when I was 13. So, born into the organization. My father was an elder. Both my father and mother pioneered for a little while, and were and still are very dedicated witnesses.
All right. So you got baptized, obviously. How old were you when you got baptized?
I was 13 when I got baptized. Child baptism.
Yep. And then when did you get out?
So I got out twice.
You got out twice, yep.
I'm not a quick learner, Shane. I'm a little thick sometimes. I got out when I was 32.
Yep.
And then got reinstated when I was 35
Right.
and was in for about 6 months and ended up leaving again.
Right.
So now all in total, I've been out about 13 years if you count the first time and the second time. Right now,
Yeah.
it's been about a little over 10 years since I was last disfellowshipped. So,
Well, congratulations for that.
thank you.
So when you were in the J-Dubs, what sort of privileges did you get up to?
Oh, well, I was appointed as a ministerial servant. Well, I pioneered starting as I got out of high school. So I was
Yeah.
18. I was appointed as a ministerial servant when I was 18, and then appointed as an elder when I was 24.
Right.
And I was a service overseer in the congregation from the time I was 26 till about the time I was 30 or 31, which is when I stepped down as an elder. And for various reasons. And so pioneer, elder, all that fun stuff. I'm one of the few people I think that actually enjoyed going door to door. I don't know. I really did love, but for me, it was because I love people and I love helping people. And I really thought that I was helping people at that time.
Yep.
And, and so that's, I was very passionate about it and charismatic, like so many of us were, because we believe it to be the truth that everybody needs. And that's not the case anymore. So, basically, I got married when I was 20, again, like a lot of other witnesses, got married really young. Just, when you're young, you don't know yourself very well at all. And I thought I did. I always thought I was a pretty humble guy, but looking back, I could see how really not humble and kind of arrogant it was to think that I had the truth to give to other people and that I had all the answers. And even at a young age, at 20, I thought, well, I know the truth. I know what's going on. I'm a ministerial servant. Like, I have privileges in the congregation. I know myself well enough to get married. And anyway, that wasn't I got 2 wonderful children out of it. That's the most positive thing that came out of it. But it wasn't a good choice to get married that young.
I would have to agree with you on that.
Yeah, it was not a good choice. And so being a young man, as immature as I could be for that age, I guess, but still an immature person, and married to a person who also had her own immaturities and issues, it just didn't work out. I tried to stay in it for a little over 10 years. And there was a breaking point for me where I realized, I had to do something. I had to make some kind of change, or it would potentially be detrimental to my health or life, because I was just in a very, very dark place, trying to, followed all the rules, did everything that I was supposed to do, did all the studying, the reading, the praying, all those things that are supposed to make JWs the happiest people in the world. And I was one of the most miserable people in the world. I hid it well, but yeah, it was bad. So long story short, I got out of that and decided, I had to move on, even if that meant losing everyone that I ever knew and my entire family. So,
So do you have contact with your kids now?
I do. Actually, I've got a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old from that first marriage. And my 17-year-old was here visiting tonight with us, and she comes a couple of times a week and every other weekend. And my 15-year-old actually just started living with us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm extremely happy to say that he's decided he doesn't want
Great.
to continue in the faith. So I'm really glad for that. So my 17-year-old daughter, she's it's one of the most amazing people I've ever met. Just a wonderful, just a truly wonderful person. I haven't had a day of trouble out of her since she was born. Really, I think I've had to punish her maybe 3 times in her entire life, and that was before the age of 5. She's just been a spectacular child to raise, and she's just a wonderful person. But she's very much still in the faith, and so what comes along with that is that eventually I'm probably going to lose my relationship with her in a year or two. So,
who did she take after, you or the mum?
Well, I mean,
okay, moving right along. Okay, so you got out for the second time, and what happened? Okay, you went back in, you got out. What made you sort of realize after 6 months, nah, this ain't for me. I'm out of here.
Funny story, actually. So, like you and I were talking before we got on here, and I told you that I have a business. I've been running a business since 1998. And so I was hiring a marketing person for the company, and I did an interview, and it just so happened that that interview felt like ended up taking 3 hours, and it felt like a date more than an interviewing a young lady for the position. And I just, my socks were blown off, or however you want to say it. I was pretty much in love at first sight, and
I see.
And she was too, and so she got the job.
Yep.
And then we decided after a few weeks that we would rather date than work with each other. So we decided to do that. And 4 months later, we were married. But, in the meantime, we did what people who are in love do.
Yep.
And I'm me being the typically honest to a fault person that I am, couldn't do that and not confess, because that's how I was raised. So I confessed to sexual immorality, and I got this fellowship. Then I kind of figured, at that point, I was just like, we're getting married. It's just so stupid. It doesn't really make any sense. And, like, all right, so these are the rules. I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing because we're getting married like very soon. And it's a lot of fun. So, I mean, that was the main reason. But it just seemed so silly to me, some of those rules that were in place. And I was like, you know what, I'll get this fellowship again. And I did think that I would go back. I did try to actually go back and get reinstated a few years later. And that was pretty much what broke me, because I mean, it took a while for me. It took quite a while for me to fully wake up. But so we got married, and I started attending meetings again kind of right away. I was taking my older children to the meetings at that time. And I was for 2 years, I mean, really religiously, as we say, I attended the meetings, and I was studying and reading and just kind of pouring myself into it so I could be reinstated. and really did still believe that it was the truth and this was what I needed to do. And I needed to, there was obviously something wrong with me because of the way that I had acted and felt, come to a place where I felt truly repentant and like Jehovah had forgiven me for what I had done because I repented in my heart and in prayer. And so I applied for reinstatement. And I went and essentially the elders told me that they didn't think I was repentant enough and that I would have to wait. After 2 years of attending meetings, which as being an elder and having sat on judicial committees in the past, myself, I knew to be an odd thing that if someone typically, like if someone's attending meetings for 6 months and trying to get reinstated and it's maybe their second time their disfellowship, you'd be like, oh, that's like, you might need to wait a little longer. I'd seen that happen before. But after 2 years of just pouring myself into it to be told that it wasn't enough, I was kind of like, what? Like how are you guys the gatekeeper here, to say that I'm not repentant enough, to be able to return. And so I asked the brothers on the committee, I said, well, how long should I wait before I reapply? And they said, oh, well, we can't tell you that. It's like, what do you mean you can't tell me that? 3 months, 6 months? And they're like, you'll just have to reapply and see how it goes. I'm like, you know what? And so at that time, I really was just trying to be humble and take the counsel and like, you know what, I guess I'm not repentant. Like, and I believed what they were saying. Like, I believed I wasn't good enough. I believed that I wasn't repentant enough and that I needed to do better. But that wore off pretty quickly. I mean, not real quickly, but over the next few months that wore off. Yeah. And I just realized like, this is such nonsense. And it was still several years after that until I fully woke up and just realized like, this is like really what an insane proposition for 3 men to sit there and tell me that I'm not repentant enough to have a restored relationship with God and with my family. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on here, but I can throw some curse words out here right now. I swore on another podcast recently, and then I was told afterward that I wasn't supposed to do that. I'm like, you should have told me.
Anyway, yeah, it's funny looking back at being an elder, what you did to members in the congregation.
Yeah,
and how ridiculous it is. But anyway, we're both out of that environment. Okay, so you got out. So you ended up dating on acquaintance with your now wife.
Yep.
And how's it been?
It's been, all in all, it's been amazing. Like any married couple, any family, we have our ups and downs and our challenges. Yep. We're not, free from life, but to not be in the mindset that I was in before and to have, constant reminders that, what we're doing is never good enough. And, we need to keep trying and doing more and then all that, like to be free of that has just been so amazing. And, I played music when I was, I used to play gigs when I was younger and in the truth, or I say in the truth, in the organization, it's not the truth. I believe it's not the truth. I just want to be clear about that. It's old habits die hard.
Old habits, yeah, definitely.
But when I was in the organization, I had played gigs when I was younger. And I stopped after my first daughter was born. I stopped playing gigs and hadn't played for probably about 10 or 12 years. And so then I was talking to my wife and I said, hey, I think I'd like to start playing music live again. And she said, yeah, you should do it. And writing music has always been kind of therapeutic for me. Mm-hmm. Or very therapeutic for me. And so I started writing more and started playing more again, probably I think about 5 years ago. And
Okay.
that's been a huge, really huge benefit for me to get out there and to kind of have found my community in the music
Yeah.
community here and where I live. So um, it's been a really huge help for me.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So what sort of things have you done since you started up 5 years ago with regards to your musical talent?
So I've been working on an album for about 30 years.
Yep.
Well, I started writing when I was about 13 years old. When I first started to play guitar, I was dyslexic growing up, so
Okay.
It was difficult for me to learn other people's music. It is somewhat difficult for me to remember lyrics and whatnot. They get jumbled sometimes, and but I was able to overcome that dyslexia to a good extent. But it was just easier for me to write my own music.
Yep.
And so I always say I took the lazy way out. It's like, I'm not going to learn other people's songs. I'll just write my own. and so I started like that. So that's one thing that I'm really happy to say that I'm finally releasing music out into the world. I'd done some recording in the past, but I never did a full release. And so now I've got my first song off the album that I'm putting out this year. I've got that up on Spotify. And so I've got an album called Waking Up coming out. And so that's
And what's the title of that song?
Waking Up. Oh, the song that came out. Yeah. The song that came out is called Momma. And essentially the whole album is about my journey of waking up, coming out of the organization, essentially. And so Momma is basically a letter to my mother, sung to her, and basically just kind of reminiscing on how I missed having her as someone very special in my life. My mother and I were really close when I was younger, and she was my best friend for many years, and just not to have her around anymore, it can be difficult sometimes. But it's, again, it's one of those things where being able to sing that song is kind of liberating for me, and to be able to put it out there. And people have asked me if she's heard it, and I don't know if she's heard it. It's been out there for a while in video and music form, and I think it's a well-written song, and it's a good song, and I hope that she does see it eventually and know that I still love her from the bottom of my heart. Yeah.
I would normally play that song, but YouTube will get upset. Do you have your guitar handy that you could play a little bit of that song for us?
Yeah.
Look at that, a man who doesn't go anywhere without his guitar.
That's right. Do you want the whole song?
By all means, man.
All right.
Go for it.
Mama, I wish you were here. Haven't seen you in years. I'm fighting back these tears. Oh, Mama, please let me come home. It's not that I'm alone, I just want to be by your side. Mama, I know that I stray, but I'm your boy. up your heart and let me feel your love. Mama, I know that I stray, but I'm your boy and you're on my mind every day. You made me who I am, hoping you'll give me one more chance to show you are my home. When you see me at night in your dreams, truth is I am just waiting to be back in your arms, holding me tight, keeping me safe in this cold dark night. Mama, please know. Mama, always know. Mama, please know that you are my home. So yeah, that's Mama.
Thank you very much for that, my friend.
You're welcome. Appreciate you.
A lot.
How do we play that?
A lot of really nice comments with regards to the words and the sentiments.
Yeah,
How long did it take you? How long did it take you to write that song?
that one it kind of just flowed. If I remember correctly, probably less than an hour to write that
Okay.
song. Yeah.
Yep.
When the inspiration hits, it kind of, and not to say that it was in its completed version then, but obviously once you write, you do edits and tweaks and things like that. It all pretty much came out at once, and so I think I saw someone comment about music being healing, and I really believe that, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to get on here and talk with you. And I've done a couple other podcast interviews, and the reason that I made the video for Mama and I'm trying to put my music out there, a big reason for me is to help other XJWs to know that they're not alone in this, and that there is there's a lot of emotions that we have to process and go through, and grief, the grief that we experience in that is not something necessarily that we're ever going to be completely rid of, and you don't know, for at least for me, there are times where I'm fine, and then all of a sudden there's just something that, just a reminder of something that hits me, and it takes me right back. In fact, I'll tell a quick little story about the kind of the experience that I went through right before I really fully woke up. My wife and I were watching I believe it was a Netflix special one night. It was a Seth Rogen special, and it was like a comedy special. They were raising money for some kind of organization, and the Muppets came on. Do you remember the Muppets, Shane?
The Muppets?
Yeah.
Yep.
You remember the Muppets?
I certainly do. I like
so the Muppets come on this show, and they start singing a song called Rainbow Connection, which was in the original Muppet movie. And in my household, as a little JW, there was a lot that we couldn't do and a lot that we couldn't watch, but the Muppets were okay, and that was something that my family and I did kind of as a tradition on a weekly basis. When the Muppets came on, we sat down and we watched the Muppets together, and I loved the Muppets growing up. And that song, just apparently was more meaningful to me than I remember, or than I realized. And they started singing that song, and about, one verse into the song, I just completely broke down. Just like started bawling, crying, ended up in the fetal position. So it has never happened to me before in my life. And, I had kind of just, it had been about 7 years since I had been disfellowshipped, and I never once had broke down crying, or like really, I hadn't processed the emotions, I think, that really come along with the whole situation. And so it just, I think it all, like the Muppets made it all just hit at once. And so that, that brought it out of me. And then I was pretty down for a couple of months. And my wife finally said to me, she's like, you need to do something. Like, you've been trying to deal with this, but you haven't taken any time to, like, why don't you get away for a few days, or however long you need, just go, have some time and space to yourself and think and figure things out. And I did that, and I went up to the mountains nearby and went to a little sanctuary place up there and did some writing and some thinking. But it was there during that time period that I just realized how many things that I just don't agree with, that I'll never agree with. And so it was then that I realized, like, I'll never be a Jehovah's Witness again, because I, in good conscience, I can't be or pretend to be someone that I'm not. And if it means that I don't get to have access to my family for the rest of my life because they're captive to this organization, or, they see it as loyal to the organization, I see it in a different light now. But, if that's the result, I have to be honest and true to myself and live in, live in the way that is truthful. So, that's my truth. So,
so how are you feeling now?
How am I feeling now? I'm feeling pretty good right now. I mean, if I'm going to be completely honest, Shane, at this moment, the past few weeks have been a little difficult for me. But it's, it comes and goes in phases. And so, one thing that I see a therapist, and I think that's important for me, for my mental health, to be able to talk through things. And one of the things that for me personally, I've come to realize is that, like, certain times of the year, this was a time of the year that I went through some of that, some of those issues that I experienced when I was leaving. It was around this time of year. And so it's just kind of a little bit of a heavier time for me. But in general, I'm doing very well. So much better than I was, much better than I was that when I was in the organization, for sure. That was a situation where I felt bad about who I was, like, because I didn't feel like I was good enough. And even now, when I doubt myself, or I have negative self-thought, I know that those things aren't true. And that's just, we have there's a lot of times we'll have these negative thoughts that are just automatic thoughts that have been ingrained into us over the years for whatever reason. Yeah. And so just being able to see those thoughts and recognize them and saying, you know what, I know that to not be true, that I am a good person, that I am good enough. I'm worthy. I'm worthy of love. And, that being able to do that for myself has helped me tremendously.
Very true.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought out that, with some of the things that have happened at this time of year and the years past, we're all going to have times when we go through these ups and downs. It's a human thing, but it's nice to see that you've got therapy. That you go and get help. And your wife, obviously, she's a very loving person, because she wanted you to do something to help yourself to heal. We had a question come in.
Sure.
Dan, do you use the music as an escapism during those moments with your mental health issues?
Sometimes, sure. Yeah. Yeah. The way, for me, one of the ways that I see it, Linda, is that for me, it has to do with processing, and processing the emotions and allowing them to basically leave my mind and my heart and my body and get them out into the universe in a way that's not destructive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of destructive ways that we can process negative emotions.
Mhm.
But so yeah, that's kind of how I see it. And so whether I'd call it escapism or not, yeah, sure, it could partially be escapism. If I'm escaping, I usually will play other people's music and not my own, because I will say that not every song that I've written is about this situation. Just this album that I have coming out is about this in particular, and it was important for me to do this first because I wanted to be of help to my fellow XJWs, but also not just XJWs, because there are so many people in the world that are experiencing similar things to what we are, not having contact with their family, even those who have lost loved ones in death. I feel like that music can help them. So trying to, for me, it's like I said, processing those things and kind of letting them out and just feeling them for a couple minutes. And at the end of the song, I can stop feeling it if I'm able to, it kind of helps to push it out.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit of, you talked about being married with normal ups and downs and things like that. Mm-hmm. So you've got 2 kids. Is that all you've got?
No, so my wife and I have 2 younger kids. So I've got 17, 15, 7, and 5. And so, yeah, got a 10-year spread and then 2 years in between. But so actually my 7-year-old just turned 8 on Tuesday, yesterday. Yeah.
What was the party like?
So we had a birthday party on Saturday for her, and the theme, she is a bunny fanatic, rabbits. She loves little bunnies. Yeah. And so the theme she wanted this year was bunnies in space.
Bunnies in space.
Bunnies in space, because she's also a fan of outer space. So, and some of the female astronauts she reads about. She loves to read biographies, so she reads about the female astronauts and all the things that they've done. And so she wanted this bunny in space theme. So we have a vaulted ceiling in our living room, and so she has all kinds of stuffed bunnies. I hung the stuffed bunnies from the ceiling, and like some little spaceships and astronaut blow up balloons and things like that. So the bunnies were in space for a birthday party. So it was a lot of fun.
So tell me, you've 2 older children, you didn't do all the birthday stuff. What's it like with younger kids now that you're no longer in the organization?
Well, it's a lot more fun.
Are you having the fun, or is your daughter having the fun?
I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah, it was so much fun to decorate, hang those bunnies in the living room, and just make it special for her and make her feel special. And my older son, my 15-year-old, the last couple of years, he's chosen to kind of quasi celebrate his birthday. We're keeping it kind of quiet for obvious reasons, because he was still in there. But he kind of was able to get a taste, and so this year he's going to be here with us. So I think we can go pretty big this year for him.
What's the theme going to be? Any ideas?
No, it's not till October, so we got some time.
You got time.
Actually, really fun story was about my first birthday party. So after getting married, pretty much every year my wife would ask, like, how would you feel about celebrating your birthday? And I was just like, no, like, I don't want to celebrate my birthday. I don't need to, like, it's just, I'm never going to celebrate my birthday. Just don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. And so I started to loosen up over the years. And then finally, a couple of years ago, when I turned 43, she had asked me, like, my birthday's in November. She had asked me in January. She was like, what about, and it was around that time, shortly after I'd gone through that experience where I kind of woke up and realized that I'm never going back. She was like, how do you feel about having like maybe just something very small, like a small birthday party this year? And I was like, all right, like if you want, yeah, like fine. If you want to throw something small, it'll be okay. Just like whatever. Well, anyway, she spent a year planning the birthday party.
Yep.
It was really it was something else. She totally fooled me. She had so many twists and turns that I didn't know which way was up or down. It's probably the most emotional day of my life. But she had like I have relatives that are not witnesses, like aunts and uncles, and so a bunch of like everyone that could flew in and surprised me. There was like over 100 people at the party. There were
they're small.
Yeah. She had 43 cakes made. Everyone, like a bunch of people at the party, cooked cake, one for each year. And so there was a procession of 43 birthday cakes that I had to blow the candles out on, Shane.
43 cakes, blowing the candles out. Did they all have 43 candles on them?
No. So it was 1 through 43. So the candles went from 1 all the way up to 43.
Oh. So were you successful at blowing them all out, or did you run out of puff?
No, I've got a good bit of breath in me. So a lot of hot air, some might say. But yeah, I mean, it was just an awesome party, and I love to be outdoors and camp and things like that. And so she had it at this like farm place out in the out in the country, and we camped and got drunk like good heathens. And yeah, it was just a great time. She also had my favorite, like one of my favorite regional band came in for the event too. And so,
oh really?
Yeah, and I didn't know they were there, and I heard music start playing, and I was like, "Where's that music coming from?" And there was a barn that had the doors closed on it, and two of my friends went opened the barn doors, and there the band was inside the barn, and I was like, "What?" It was crazy. And then we got to camp out with them and hang out, and I got to know them really well. And I actually opened a show for them a few weeks ago.
Oh, sweet.
Show. It was awesome. Yeah. So, that was a fun birthday story for me.
So if that's a small birthday party, what's a big one look like?
Oh, Shane, here's another good detail on that one. In order to plan the birthday, she created a fake Facebook profile so she could contact my family and friends. She stole a guy's identity, like a little guy. This old guy with gray hair named Ralph Anderson, and everybody kept calling her Ralph at the party, and there were pictures of this guy at the party that I didn't understand who Ralph Anderson was until she stole his identity and created a fake Facebook. Like, poor Ralph.
Poor Ralph.
I think she did invite Ralph to the party, but he couldn't make it. So.
Oh, is that right? Oh, goodness me.
Yeah. So anyway, she's a good person. She's a keeper.
Sounds like it. So tell me, what are you going to do for her birthday?
Oh, I can't.
Oh no, you better not tell us. It might be a surprise.
Yeah, I can't compete with that. That was a couple of years ago, and I've tried. She's a fantastic planner. So I'll say that. She's a fantastic planner. And I'm terrible at lying and keeping secrets. I'm not good at it. I always somehow fumble it. So yeah.
Well, it's a good thing to have, you know.
Yeah. I just go with the straightforward stuff. So every once in a while, I get a good surprise in there, though.
Yep.
Yeah. But
quite a few comments coming in with regards to your good lady and the things she did.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's, I mean, there's just been so many great experiences after leaving, and kind of, opening myself up to
Yeah.
having friends. I mean, really, it wasn't until I had kind of that breakdown and then waking up that I
Hmm.
really started to. I was already playing music, but I wasn't really connecting with people, or like trying, like gaining friends so much. And so I really, after that, I kind of realized the need to build a community and to build those
Yeah.
friendships. And I had started, getting to know people and whatnot, but I was uh, able to just, I made it a point to particularly reach out and start connecting with people, with other musicians. I put together some events. So I put together, there was this event that I hosted for a couple of years called, it was in a town or a little area called Knightsville. So it was the Knightsville Porch Jam, and it was basically on the front porch of the general store there. And it was once a month on Sunday, and
Mhm.
you'd get like 20 musicians just come out and play music on the front porch, and people would jam with each other and just get to
Yep.
know each other. And yeah, it was really awesome. So I started holding my own musical meetings. And so from that, I was able to, meet a lot of people, make a lot of friends. And so that's where I was able to get, all those people at the birthday party. I had some friends by then, so that was nice. And
That's
actually,
cool.
yeah. And you had asked me earlier about some of the things that I've done. So 2 years ago, I hosted a music festival, a weekend long
Yep.
music festival at a state park, and it was called the Edisto Blackwater Boogie. And there was camping, over 30 band. I think we had 33 bands and musicians that came out and performed. And it was just it turned out really great. We were able to. It was actually a fundraiser for the park, so we raised right around $6,000
Oh, good.
for capital improvements to the park.
Yep.
Um, and it was a lot of fun. So I'm hosting that event again this year, actually in October. So I'm in the process of planning that again, and hoping that after COVID, everybody's gonna snatch the tickets up because they're just dying to get out. So
Well,
hopefully
that's
we'll
a
be able
very
to
good
raise more than
community service.
6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike the door knocking community service telling
Yeah.
lies,
Well,
that's
yeah.
a great way to support the community.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, is that I get playing music. I get so much more satisfaction than I ever got from giving a public talk,
Yeah.
or going and knocking on someone's door, like talking to people and then being able to share my music and tell people the story behind my music. I actually, about 2 years ago, I hosted an event. The event was called Waking Up, and that actually sold out. And we had a
Ah,
packed house. And I essentially took my songs and told my story from pretty much beginning to end over a 2 hour period through the song. So it was kind of, I don't know if you remember the channel VH1. They used to do like a thing called VH1 Storytellers. It's like a video. It's like MTV kind of. Um, but anyway, it was basically, I tell the story behind a song and then I play the song.
okay.
Uh, and so I did that, and that was really fun. I had an idea to I was trying to like record that and get
Mhm.
together a documentary kind of idea out of it. But unfortunately, there were technical problems with the audio and visual, so it didn't end up turning out. But that's still something that I might get back around to. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, plenty of things to plan for.
Yep. Yeah.
So those are some of the things you've done since you've been out and started to enjoy a real life, unlike the real life that we were told was a real life.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you'd like to see that you and your wife and your kids have as a goal for the future?
So we really enjoy traveling.
Yep.
And so one of our goals is to eventually, within the next few years, I want to go ahead and step away from my business, either sell it or have someone else kind of at the helm to where I can step away. We want to take 6 months to a year and kind of travel, live in a camper for a while and just travel the country and take the kids to see, the whole United States. Yeah. My wife has been to 46 of the 50 states. So she's got 4 states left. So we're trying to knock those out before she turns 40. So
cool.
Hopefully we can get those in. So that's one of the things. And then for my kids, like, I really just want them to be able to pursue whatever it is that they find passion in, and that whatever that is they want to do. And so, that changes over time. Right now, my oldest daughter is she's currently working to get her pilot's license. She flew a plane the other day for the first time. Yeah. She's 17 and she was flying an airplane. And I'm like, this is bananas. But I'm very proud of her because she found something that she wanted to do, and she graduated school early because she was homeschooled, and so she wants to pursue this, and so she's trying to get her commercial pilot's license. So I'm really excited that she's pursuing that. She's also a fantastic artist, so she's been pursuing that. She's got a couple of Instagram accounts set up and a Etsy shop set up, and so she does events. She'll go and sell her art at events and make money doing that. So as the other kids grow older, I'm excited to see what they choose to pursue. Yeah.
Have you taken them to sport yet? I suppose, have you opened up for that sort of thing yet?
To what?
To take the kids to sport on a Saturday, on the weekend, or during the week, or
like a soccer game or something like that, or is that what you mean? Sport? Yeah. So I'm not really into sports very much because music is my thing. And so when I was younger, I used to watch football a good bit when I was younger, but I just, I'm just not that into it. So my 2 younger kids played soccer for the first time this year though. And so that was a lot of fun. And I actually ended up coaching soccer because I kind of got roped into it because one of the other parents had volunteered to coach, and then they had some family issues come up, and like all the other parents were like, well, I'm not coaching. And I was like, I've never coached before. I have no idea I don't even know the rules of soccer, literally. But, I mean, how bad can I do? They're 5. So it's basically just point them in the right direction and let them go wild. So
I guess you're going to be going to a bit more soccer games then.
Yeah. So my son, my 5-year-old son, he was into it a little bit, and then he kind of faded. He didn't want to play by the end of it. So he was kind of over it. He's also quite musical. He has a little drum set, and he plays the drums all the time. He can actually keep a beat pretty well, and I'm excited to see what he does if he keeps going for it. But my older daughter, my 8-year-old, she really loves soccer. She had a great time. So she was good too. So I'm expecting probably doing some more soccer in the fall. But
maybe we'll see your son on America's Got Talent.
Maybe. Yeah.
Never know.
You never know. You never know. But,
so comparing your life to what it was to now, what's the difference?
Well, the life I used to live was, looking back, was extremely controlled by other people and rules that really didn't make a whole lot of sense at times.
Yeah.
I think most religions have some good in them. For sure, there's good things that can be said about them, but I think a lot of them have their drawbacks as well. And to see, like, it never made sense to me that brothers couldn't have a beard and like give a talk.
Yep.
What sense does that? Like, it never made sense to me. And I remember when I was younger, there was one brother in our hall that had a beard, and we just thought he was a rebellious person. That's kind of how he was looked upon.
Yeah.
He was a rebel who wouldn't follow the rules, and it's just so idiotic, So to be free of that kind of restriction and pure lunacy is a good thing, and so to be able to pursue the things that I want to pursue, and to be able to give my family the opportunity to do that as well, and also to have the opportunity to know that if one of my children is gay, or transgender, or whatever, that there's no reason I have to have any internal conflict about that I can just
absolutely,
I can be free of that and love them, and I don't have to worry about any sort of judgment for them or judge them myself. Whereas in the past, I certainly, if I had stayed the path, I certainly would have. And it sickens me to know that, but I would have.
Yeah, that's right.
And if they were disfellowshipped, I would have cut them off, because that would have been the right thing to do in my mind. And to realize now that that's how influenced I was by by an organization's rules and guidelines that they've put together, because that's what they think things should be. I'm just so happy to be free of that, and to be able to love unconditionally, and to be there for people no matter what.
Yeah, good. So, had a couple of questions come in. One from Stella. What do you love most to do these days?
Well, spending time with my family is the number one thing, of course. But playing music is I would play music every night for people if I could. I just love it. And to me, what I always say about it is it's an exchange of energy when you perform music. And so as a performer, you're putting this energy out, and then the audience is absorbing and reflecting that energy. And so it's an experience that, if you're open to that sort of thing, that it's just, it can be a really moving and beautiful thing, but also just a heck of a lot of fun.
You were talking about gigs. We've got a suggestion from, believe it or not, here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Have you ever traveled to New Zealand or plan to in the future? Our XJ-Dub community would be keen on a music gig in Auckland.
Just get me the plane ticket. Help me get a plane ticket. I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for COVID. Otherwise, you'll end up in quarantine.
Yeah, we don't want
actually
that.
Come here at the moment, but
maybe we could do I would. So this is one thing that I've, like I said, that show Waking Up, I kind of would like to travel and do that show for different XJW communities, if the people would be open to that. But also, I'd be willing to play non-Waking Up music too. So,
well, I tell you what, to come to New Zealand from America, you got to stop in Australia. We know plenty of friends in Australia who would love to have you do a gig there before you come to New Zealand, and then we could put down a hangi for you, and you could have a good old feed here in New Zealand, have a fun time doing a gig, and we'll come on boogie on down.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Count me in.
So tell me.
Put that on the list.
We will definitely do that. So tell me, Dan, if somebody comes across this live stream, what would your bit of encouragement be for those ones who are wondering, for questioning, for just going crazy in their mind and going, oh, I don't know what to do?
Yeah, just walk away. it is a hard thing to do, for sure. It comes at a great cost. But if you're questioning it, know that there's good reason that you're questioning it. There's good reason. It's because within your heart and within your soul that it's not right. And so that's why the questioning is there. And right now, honestly, I can say I don't know what I believe, but I don't question that. I don't question that. I'm still learning, and I think I firmly believe I'm going to be learning for the rest of my life and figuring things out, and that's okay. But any group that claims to know it all and to have all the answers, that's something that deserves to be questioned. And you'll be much happier if you just move on, for sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Tell me, do you have a song that you can sing us out?
Yeah. So there's a song that I wrote a while back. This one kind of came to me quickly too.
Okay.
And this one's going to be on the album as well. But it's a song called Blackwater.
Mm-hmm.
And so where I live in the United States is a state called South Carolina. And in South Carolina, we have what's called Blackwater. It's very much like you'd see in sometimes you might see in movies like in Florida or Louisiana, like the Everglades. And so the black water comes from cypress trees that grow, and then you have tannins in the water, so it just turns the water black looking. And we happen to have, just a few miles from the house here, the Edisto River, which is the longest running blackwater river in the United States. And so actually it was on my birthday, I took a trip down that river with my cousin and her husband, who I'm extremely close with, very dear friends.
Yep.
And so we took a trip down that Blackwater River. But this song, when I wrote it, I was thinking about how a lot of times in life we get hooked by things. Mm-hmm. And so for me, that hook that was so deep within me was really religion. It was this man-made structure that kind of had me hooked for a very long time, and I couldn't get away from it, and I couldn't see out of it. And it kind of, looking back at who I really am as a person, it kind of poisoned me as a person. And so I was thinking, but in addition to that, like, there's just so many things in life that can hook us, whether it's drugs, alcohol, just any number of things. And so that's kind of what I was thinking about when I wrote this song called Blackwater. So
great.
Riding low, slipping slow, cutting through that black water. It's in my veins, it keeps me sane. I'm drinking down that black water. 'Cause that water is past night, and that full moon is shining bright. And those mossy oaks are hanging low. Blackwater is where I wanna go. Blackwater is where I gotta go. My oldest friend has gone away. Blackwater's taking him to stay. He met his end before his day. Blackwater won't ever let him stray. 'Cause that water is glass at night, and that full moon is shining bright. And those mossy oaks are hanging low. Blackwater rightly know. Black water won't ever let you go. Black water won't ever let you go. 'Cause that water is glass at night, and that full moon is always shining bright, and those mossy oaks will hang and low. Black water will try to steal your soul. Black water won't ever let you go. Beware those running black shallows. Old folks and you could rightly know. Black water won't ever let you go. Black water won't ever let you go.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on, Shane.
It's been great, my friend. Been great. And for those ones on the live stream, we'll make sure we put in the comment section, and also we'll put up the post to your Facebook, your YouTube. And if you ever come to New Zealand, we had another suggestion. Yep, come to Australia, then to New Zealand, and finish up in England.
Okay. Done.
We'll have to see what happens with COVID.
Yeah. Well, hopefully things will lift sooner rather than later.
Yep, we'll see how it goes. And we want to say thank you very much for being here. For those ones who are watching our live stream, we're so grateful for you being part of our group, and also for your comments and being part of the live streams. We look forward to seeing you again, to be able to find out how, like Dan, we can dare to dream and move on. So for now, keep safe. Thanks for being here. And until next time, we'll look forward to catching you.